On Sunday, Notre Dame picked up a new commitment in the 2025 class from a league that Tim likes a lot. I'm sure we'll talk about that in just a moment. New commitment is Gordy Sulfsted from Cincinnati St. Xavier. This one really was a shocker, folks. Sulfsted had not even announced that he picked up an offer from the Fighting Irish. And we'll talk about how his recruiting process came together in with regards to his commitment to Notre Dame. But let's talk about this 6'5", anywhere between 235 to 240, depending on the day. Class of 2025 defensive lineman who the Irish have committed. So, Tim, let's pop on the tape. Tell me what you think about him.
Yeah, real quick. He's a big athlete. It's almost like going back to the early Brian Kelly days when he used to categorize, linemen and big athletes and big ends and things of that nature. He reminds me a lot of Troy Nicholas in that type of a category of a body. Troy Nicholas played, offensive tackle and a defensive end at Servite and ends up being a second-round draft pick at tight end. So he's that type of a body, and I say that because he's a two-sport athlete. He's a starter on the basketball team as well. He plays tight end. I read that Ohio State evaluated him over the spring as possible a tight end offer. So he's a guy that could do many things, and he's long. That is the first thing that popped out on me, when this commitment went live was bam. I mean, wow, he is really long. You could see his length, how lean he is. And then the biggest thing is they're going to feed this guy, make him lift a ton. And just like you've talked a ton over at Blue and Gold, he's going to play the interior. That's what they're recruiting him as. So you see another big 6'5" body that's going to grow into a 280 some odd pound frame. His dad played in the NFL, so he's going to be packing on the weight. There's another guy a 3-star who just went in the NFL named Joe Alt. So I mean, who knows what his dad's going to help him out as Joe did. So he's got some high motor. That's one thing he plays with is a lot of energy. And I would say my number one trait is his hand placement. This guy's got unbelievable leverage the way he plays off of blocks. And he's a 2-gap, 3-4 defensive end who moves inside. You see on the nickel in this film. So he's a big athlete. He's going to grow. He's going to develop. And, as I always say with defensive linemen, Notre Dame does not sign a ton of guys that come and play on day one as 18 years old. They let these guys grow. They let these guys develop. And then they get on the football field, as we're seeing with this 2024 defensive line and all the 2 deep guys on there that have been in the process of developing. So I like Gordy. Comes from a great high school football league in the Cincinnati Catholic. He was all-state, as you know. He was the defensive lineman of the year. So there's a lot of really good traits that he's going to bring to Notre Dame.
Tim always talks about how much he loves the greater Catholic league in the greater Cincinnati Catholic League, I should say. And that is, he's coming from one of the best programs in the state of Ohio. Tim, whenever we talk about player comparisons, I like to say, we're not saying that this player is going to be this person, but more of a stylistic comp for Sulfsted, according to Notre Dame sources, is Riley Mills. That's kind of the plan, according to those close to the staff, is that, he's going to that's the positions that you've seen Riley Mills play, the trajectory of his career. That's kind of how they see Sulfsted. Do you like that? Does that sound pretty much accurate from what you see on his tape?
Yeah, I mean, Riley was way bigger when he obviously arrived at Notre Dame, and he played some.
This kid's got another year. He's going to be a summer enrollee, so he's got
exactly, and that's exactly. That's a great point. He's got a full another year of high school. We're watching once again junior film on this kid, trying to compare him to guys that have been at Notre Dame for a while. Instantly thought of Brennan Vernon, just with his length and how he is a type of a player, a high motor guy, and a lot like Cole Mullins. I mean, if you really want to look at a couple guys over the last 2 years, Cole Mullins was that hybrid linebacker, DN, D tackle type of player. Now he's fitted in as a 3-tech at Notre Dame. Really long. I mean, I know I talked a lot about him during our live broadcast and our post-game show, that he really stood out to me. And I think Gordy's the same type of a player that could develop into a Cole Mullins, Brennan Vernon, those long guys. And on top of that, Riley Mills down the road where he gains his weight and settles in as Riley did. Riley played DN one whole year.
Yeah.
Then he's developed into a 3 tech here the last couple of years. So, I really like that because he's going to be an inside player. And I think Notre Dame fans, when you watch his film, think of him as that. He's going to be a B2B gap player, meaning one B to the other B. He's going to be an interior guy, a run stuffer, a bull rush type guy, a real good physical filler. And he's going back to some of his traits. He's long. He's already well coached. I can't stress that enough, how well coached this young man is. And you see it on the film, the way he could plant, change direction, the way he keeps pursuit. There's so many little coaching traits you could watch on film, having coached a couple of guys in my life, that you see these things. And I can't stress enough the hand placement this guy plays with, the way he sheds blocks. That's big time coming into Notre Dame, where he's already going to know so many things to be ahead of the curve of other players.
I want to talk about his recruiting process. So on Monday, I got to talk to Sulfsted about his commitment to the Fighting Irish, and it was really interesting. He got the offer from Notre Dame. He got the call on May 17th. So we got the offer Friday. Took a few hours to talk it over with his inner circle. By the end of the day, he's committed to the Notre Dame staff. So something that came together very, very quickly. He was, Tim, offer lists. Let's take a peek at that. Louisville, Purdue, Iowa, Rutgers, Minnesota, Miami, Wisconsin, Washington, Stanford, Virginia Tech. The list goes on and on. It's definitely not a slouch offer list. That much is for sure. He was really considering Duke and Wisconsin the most. He was going to take official visits to those two schools. Unless like an Ohio State or Notre Dame jumped in, he was probably going to pick one of those two. Notre Dame evaluated him in the spring, offered him, and he jumped on that pretty quickly. On our show, May 22nd, our Wednesday night show, Tim and I will dive more into Notre Dame defensive line recruiting. But Tim, just wanted to give you a quick 30 seconds if you want to touch on Sulfsted's recruitment.
Yeah, just to go off of, the offers. Who are some of the best D lines they played last year? Louisville and Duke. He's got offers. He's, to me, real quick, when I saw him, he reminds me of a Big Ten defensive lineman. There's so many guys like Gordy in the Big Ten that play their tails off, graduate, go to the NFL. Some of these guys, just big, long guys that are just fundamentally sound. That's what I see. And just another thing on this is, in all of these recruitings, when coaches are going to evaluate and see things, Coach Landau's involved in a lot of these things as well. I'm sure I wouldn't be surprised if they got some numbers on him. Coach Landau looked at those things as the strength coach, his arm size, his length, all these things we talk about all the time. That's what these guys are doing when they're coming to Notre Dame, getting measured, getting weighed, and especially when they meet with Coach Landau. So I wouldn't be surprised if he was a big part of this offer as well, checking off the boxes like, yeah, this guy's got some things that are going to grow down the road in the Notre Dame weight room. So, I'm excited. He's one of 5. Last thing, 13 defensive linemen Notre Dame are going to sign over the last 3 classes, 23, 24, 20, 13. It's a lot of bodies that they're packing to develop. And some of these guys won't make it. And some of these guys that do will, but that's 13 bodies over 3 classes. Way more than the previous ones all combined those last few years with Elston and Kelly. So kudos to the D-line recruiting. They are bringing in a lot of bodies.
One other thing to mention that's interesting, Sulfsted's high school teammate is Al Golden's son. So I think that was kind of a it wasn't probably difficult for Notre Dame to get the transcripts. It's kind of what I'm saying. Like it was not difficult for them to kind of get information on Gordy. That's a new commitment for the Fighting Irish. Gordy Sulfsted from Cincinnati St. Xavier. Please hit the thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to our channel for more content and find more information about this new commitment over at blueandgold.com. Appreciate you guys for watching. And as always, we will catch you next time.